London is pervaded by the overwhelming vitality of young people, success and music. The London Eye, the panoramic wheel set up on the banks of the Thames, is a spectacular symbol of the fusion of past and present. From the top of the wheel, you can admire historic monuments as well as the most recent works of contemporary London. The wheel, which is 135 meters high, takes 30 minutes to turn completely, and it carries 15,000 passengers a day in its 32 windowed cabins. All the central districts of London are located on the left bank of the river, and the most important ones are the City and Westminster. Starting from the east, we immediately come to the Tower of London, the ancient royal residence, prison and strong room of the English monarchy, built close to the river to defend the city. We follow the Thames, moving past the many bridges that cross it. Located majestically on the riverbank, Parliament welcomes us with its famous neo-Gothic towers that have made it the most representative symbol of London. We pass over Westminster Abbey, St James Park and Green Park. Buckingham Palace appears. The magnificent residence of the royal family overlooks the luxuriant palace gardens. The tourist boats that go up the Thames offer an unusual and striking view of the city. The first large bridge we encounter is Tower Bridge, characterized by the two tall towers that recall the Gothic style of so many of London's ancient monuments. It was inaugurated at the end of the 19th century and was originally designed with a steam-driven hydraulic mechanism to open the drawbridge in just 90 seconds. Today, it's opened electrically, but this occurs less frequently because the city's port activities have been moved downriver. The Tower Bridge is our entrance to the city. We approach the centre, passing over the Thames and its bridges. Viewed from the air, London looks like an enormous labyrinth that is cut in two by the river and is dotted with wide avenues and parks. We can see Piccadilly Circus, the square where the main commercial streets of London intersect. Piccadilly is the hub of the city's business and entertainment district, and it's a lively place day and night. In the middle of all the city traffic, we can see horse-drawn carriages, an irresistible tourist attraction, as well as the red double-decker buses and the roomy black cabs with their distinctive boxy shape. From Piccadilly Circus, we go to Regent Street, with its wide and monumental curved line of buildings. The street, which is famous for its classic clothing shops and jewellers, connects Piccadilly with Regent's Park. The other hub of London's road system is Trafalgar Square, which is not far from Piccadilly. The square commemorates the Battle of Trafalgar, won by Admiral Nelson against the French troops led by Napoleon. The 52-meter granite column in the middle of the square is dedicated to Nelson. Around the column there are 4 colossal bronze lions and 2 large fountains. If we look carefully at the foot of the monument, we can see the typical measurements of the English system walled into the parapet: yards, feet, and inches. The spectacular Mall starts at Trafalgar Square, and along its lines are the carefully tended lawns of St. James Park and Green Park. Buckingham Palace stands at the end of the Mall. Through Admiralty Arch, you can see the long stretch of the Mall, a wide avenue lined with a double row of trees. Because of its theatrical grandeur, it is used for royal parades. To the left is St. James Park, one of London's oldest and richest parks. It was once reserved for the court. A little bridge in the park provides the most photographed view of Buckingham Palace. In front of the palace, there is an impressive monument to Queen Victoria, the monarch who ruled for over 60 years, dominating 19th century English custom. Her name is linked with the empire's greatest glory. The palace is known as Buckingham Palace because it was built during the 18th century for the Duke of Buckingham. Only later was it purchased by the King of England, who made it the main residence of the royal family. One of the leading tourist attractions in London is the ceremony of the changing of the guard, which takes place daily in front of the entrance to the palace. The Royal Guards, with their showy red uniforms and tall black busbies, are an irresistible temptation for any photographer. The palace is open to visitors only during the summer, in the morning. The visit includes several rooms in the state apartments and the royal stables, which house the fabulous carriages used by the monarchs for parades and official events. Buckingham Palace, truly a kingly residence, has been modified several times. The current facade, for example, was completely redone less than a century ago. The 700 rooms on the ground floor and the 2 piano nobile floors give us an idea of how massive the palace is. Viewed from above, the Mall, which we will take towards Trafalgar Square, shows off all its grandeur. The traditional fashion district is the quadrilateral bordered by Regent Street, Piccadilly, Bond Street and Oxford Street. This is the realm of the most sophisticated shops, the most exclusive purchases and the most deeply rooted traditions. The world's most prestigious auction house, Sotheby's, is located on Bond Street. The Burlington Arcade opens onto Piccadilly Street. This covered gallery, flanked by shops, is frequented by a sophisticated public. Even today, the exclusive passage is monitored by the characteristic beadles, the costume guards who carry a bell to signal any unconventional behavior of passers-by. Savile Row is famous for its men's tailored fashions, and Conduit Street, which crosses Regent Street, boasts of the dazzling showroom of Rolls-Royce, another English glory. An entire block on Oxford Street is taken up by Selfridges, the most elegant of London's numerous department stores. Back at Trafalgar Square, we recommend a tour of the National Gallery, the leading English art collection that is particularly renowned for the paintings of the Italian school, including several priceless works by Botticelli, Raphael, and Michelangelo, and of the 18th and 19th century English masters. The gallery houses one of the world's most highly acclaimed paintings, the Arnolfini portrait by Jan van Eyck. Next to the National Gallery is the Church of St. Martin in the Fields, the prototype of countless Anglican churches that is also widely imitated in North America. Whitehall starts at Trafalgar Square, and along this street are the buildings of the Horse Guards and the Banqueting House. We also pass by Downing Street, where the British Prime Minister lives. Whitehall ends in front of Parliament and nearby Westminster Abbey. Leaving Trafalgar Square, on the right we come to the Admiralty Building and, just beyond that, the 18th century Horse Guards, in front of which the ceremony of the changing of the Horse Guards takes place. Behind it, towards St. James Park, it's the square where the Trooping of the Colour, the main military parade of the year, is held every June to celebrate the Queen's birthday. Across the street, we can see the loveliest building on Whitehall, the Banqueting House, used for important state banquets. In the main hall, we can admire the sumptuous ceiling painted by Rubens with allegorical subjects, portraying the triumph of the English monarchy. The Houses of Parliament are located in a magnificent 19th century building done in the neo-Gothic style. Parliament is dominated by two famous towers, Victoria Tower, which has the main entrance to Parliament on the ground floor, and the Clock Tower, that has now become the symbol of London. The Clock Tower has a massive bell, weighing 13.5 tons, nicknamed Big Ben, after Benjamin Hall, who had it installed. The bell tolls the hour on the tower's enormous clock, considered one of the most accurate in the world. 4 smaller bells chime every quarter hour. In the garden of the square separating Parliament from Westminster Abbey, there is a statue of Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister who led England to victory during World War II. Westminster Abbey is the city's most important Gothic monument. Although it looks like a compact and uniform complex, it actually took many centuries to build. Westminster Abbey holds the tombs of the English monarchs and monuments, honouring many famous men. The presbytery is where the English monarchs are crowned during a sumptuous ceremony. As we move away from Regent Street, London takes on the appearance of an enormous bazaar, a trait that has long distinguished it. It is one of the few cities where you can find everything from all over the world. Some people even built an empire based on this principle. Harrods, the department store on Brompton Road, prides itself on satisfying any customer request whatsoever. To enjoy some of the nostalgia of the 60s, just take a walk down Carnaby Street, which in those roaring years became the symbol of young fashion and nonconformism, in perfect keeping with the emerging phenomenon of the Beatles. The London Underground, or the Tube as the Londoners call it, has 12 lines for a network that covers more than 400 kilometres. At the Westminster station, we'll